And I can tell you this, what you see on TV is not real world. In that this good cop, bad cop stuff, I found just a lot of, you're a liar. Well, I'm telling you, you're asking me. But I had enough sense, maybe not street sense, but horse sense, to know you're not accepting me as a truthful person, so I won't say anything else. And that's when I stopped. And now I know years later that that was the smartest thing I could have ever done. So I was deliced and, subjected to searches in parts of my body that I had never had those kinds of things, and thrown in with some women in a barracks type thing. And so when I got there, as I was in line, they were asking you lists of questions off of a piece of paper. And one of the ladies had told me, she said, don't tell them that you are depressed, and don't tell them that you want to harm yourself, or they'll take all your clothes and throw you in a cell by yourself. And I thought, I don't know why she's telling me this, but I'm gonna, obviously she knows a whole lot more about this situation than I do. So when we went down the list and they say, are you depressed? I thought, oh, this is a mental status exam. I mean, I knew what that was from my education background. And I thought, how sad, because this lady's giving advice, don't tell them the truth. There may be some women in this line who are really depressed. But the advice, so I'm just saying the quality, a jail may say, oh, we do a mental status exam. Well, they ask questions and they may not get real answers. So they're really not checking you out for months. I'm not a rough person. I don't even, people talk about street smarts. I have no street smarts. This is what you see is what you get. The scariest part, and I really do think that there needs to be something across the board done about males being totally in charge of females. Because regardless, it's a very scary proposition when in the middle of the night a male comes in with a flashlight and it's the guard and the female, and it's a male. It's fear. It is a lot of fear, lots of fear. So I think we need to do something about that. You just have to tell yourself, I'm stronger than this, and stay sane. So I say anybody that comes out of the system, I don't care if it's a day they've been there or 10 years or whatever, if you come out of the system strong, you are one heck of a person. You really are. I'm a victim of crime. I know what it looks like, and I know how it feels. I also know that there's a number of people in prison that they don't need to be there for 10, 15, 20 years. We've gone to such punishment, and it's very toxic. I know it sounds like a soap opera, and if it hadn't happened to me, I'd be going, what's this woman talking about? But I'm here to tell you, it did. And if you don't believe it, turn the video off and go wash your dishes or whatever you're going to do. If I had been on my own, where would I have gone? How could I how could I have ever even gotten out on bail? Because my family was the one that ran the interference on the outside. Because when you're in solitary, you can't call anybody. Who are you going to call? Because I was able to get an attorney, I was a first-time offender. My attorney knew that I could get the whole record expunged after successful, paying them my fine, which I paid the day of it. But then I had to wait, I forget what the time period was, to have it totally expunged. But here's another thing that's not just in the system, in that I could pay my fine, but let's say this other person can't, and it takes them 6 years to pay their fine. See, once my fine and my probation, unsupervised probation, was over, I can vote. But let's say this person over here can't pay their fine for 8 years, because they have to pay it out. But they've served their probation time. Why should that person have to wait 8 years to pay on their fine, whereas I was able to go and write a check for my fine? You see, what made that? The only difference was one had money to do it, and the other didn't.
Did the judge treat your private lawyer differently than the judge treated the public defender?
Oh yes, when it was time for my attorney, the judge said, so-and-so, we'll take your case first. Whereas everybody else in the line, their cases came last. So we got done and out of there. Things were explained to me that were not explained to the other people with the public defenders, because my attorney was allowed to explain it to me. I often say, we all drink the Kool-Aid of some sort, and we're all conditioned by a lot of things in our lives. And so we just need to be very aware that this system is called justice, but it is not blind, and it's not always just. It's just not. I have a husband who's in prison.
Is it difficult being married to an incarcerated person?
Oh, sure. Number one is all the costs associated. What cost me pennies to use my phone here locally or anywhere in the country, or even out of the country, cost me pennies. It cost me almost $8 for 30 minutes from an Arkansas prison that may just be 30 minutes up the road. And the commissary costs are exorbitant in that peanuts, that we can buy 2 for $1 are outrageous. And a person might say, well, what do they need peanuts for? Well, they need it for protein, because the meals that are in the prison system have no nutritional value whatsoever. In fact, in the Arkansas system, I get, and I can talk firsthand, I get some powdered milk and a piece of bread and that was breakfast.
Mm.
And then you've got the travel, because Arkansas inmates are not housed according to how close they are to their family. They don't say, okay, well, your family lives in Little Rock, so we're gonna place you in Wrightsville, that's the closest prison. No, they don't say that. The inmates are housed according to Department of Correction needs. So if they have a bed in Calico Rock, and you live in Little Rock, that's where your loved one is. So to go visit, you're talking some expense, totally. I've been working with CURE, which is Citizens United for the Rehabilitation of Errants. It's an international organization that promotes education and prison reform and advocacy for criminal justice reform issues, and lots of promotion for rehabilitation, both in prison, people who are in prison, people who are re-entering society. And in fact, today, I don't have to be telling this story because by law, I can say I've never been convicted. But I hope it helps somebody. It's not to my benefit.